3-point Philadelphia lead. Inside 3 to play in the quarter. Embiid again rejects Kawhi. And now Simmons ahead of the pack. Soars and finishes. Both Embiid and Simmons scraping the sky on that possession.
Living good and living to see another day. 112-101. The Philadelphia 76ers stave off elimination and will play a decisive Game 7 against the Toronto Raptors north of the border on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Welcome into our NBA TV post-game coverage. The Hall of Famer Isiah Thomas, the champion Steve Smith. I'm Jared Greenberg. Back out to Philadelphia in a couple of moments for complete post-game reaction. We've got all the press conference coverage for you, but a score that is a margin of 11, not indicative, Smitty, at all, of how much control Philadelphia had of this game.
And I give Ben Simmons a lot of credit, Isiah. He started off this game, and you saw the first 4 or 5 possessions was a little shaky on both ends, and then he took over and made some plays, set the tone. And after that, I thought the meat of the game, it was Jimmy Butler. But those two guys, for me, set the tone for the 76ers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I thought Simmons was fantastic, the way he responded after having a tough game, setting the tone, playing up-tempo, getting guys easy buckets, getting them off to good looks. So I thought Simmons was fantastic.
7 points, 3 of 5 in the Game 5 loss that you're referring to tonight. Simmons comes up with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. It just seemed like he had a more aggressive mentality and approach to the game tonight.
What I love is they play fast. Even off misses where it was dead balls, he still pushed the basketball. I think he's better when he's playing fast. There's a lot of guys can't play that way, but I think when he's playing fast and attacking, it puts so much pressure on the defense, and it looked like he wasn't afraid to get fouled tonight, Isiah. A lot of his moves, sometimes he look like he's avoiding contact so he won't get fouled. Today, it looked like he was aggressive, and he wanted to draw some contact.
And I thought, with a player like Simmons, when they get a big lead, then he becomes much more creative, much more freer, and he feels much more better about himself. So I thought them getting off to a big lead early in the game was a big part of their, relaxation and feel good throughout the game.
Yeah, Philadelphia led by as many as 24 in this one. And again, back out to the arena in Philadelphia in a couple of moments here for post-game coverage. Toronto, they got such a great, well-balanced effort, Zeke, in Game 5. Everyone was contributing, and they didn't need that spectacular effort from Kawhi Leonard. Well, tonight, Kawhi goes for 29. Pascal Siakam has a solid game, but where was everyone else? Is it the old cliche about role players play better at home than they do on the road? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's a real thing, and that's why you play for home court. That's why the regular season matters, and it matters because if you happen to end up in a situation like Toronto is in right now, you got a Game 7, which is at home, and your role players should play better at home in a Game 7 situation. So Philly did what they had to do tonight, and no, Toronto's role players didn't play well. You don't expect them to carry the load out on the road, Smitty, but when they get back home in a Game 7, you expect them to play much better.
Isiah, what I was surprised at for the Toronto Raptors and Jared, they had so many open 3 looks, and they were hesitating. You pointed out one time with Serge Ibaka. Yeah. And then on a lot of those shots, it just seemed like they weren't sure of shots, didn't want to take them. I know Pascal Siakam is being guarded by Joel Embiid, but you got to shoot with confidence. And I think tonight they didn't look like they wanted to take those shots, and also they didn't make them as well. So I think that was a hesitation as well.
The 3 losses that Toronto has had in this series to Philadelphia, tonight the Raptors shoot a playoff low 25% from 3. And then their other 2 losses against Philadelphia this series, they shot 27% from 3 and 26% from 3. I don't know that that's necessarily just the game, but for a team that relies so much, or at least needs that 3 ball to complement Kawhi, there's your answer.
It is, Jared. And the reason why I said is, is mind-boggling to me because the double team he was drawing and baiting, and he was kicking guys, and because of Joel Embiid, they weren't even full rotation. It was just like Joel Embiid was standing there. Yeah. And if he did rotate, they drive it, kick it out to another guy who have a wide open looks, and they couldn't knock him down at all.
And I felt like Embiid's presence tonight in the middle in terms of shutting down the paint, blocking shots, changing shots, forcing Toronto to shoot from the perimeter. That in itself, let us know that Embiid, was ready to play. And I thought this was a big block. And I just thought, again, his presence around the middle, the way he threw his weight around, was big in the game. But you're right, Toronto's got to be able to knock down perimeter shots because those perimeter shots are going to be there because Embiid is such a presence in the middle when he's healthy and playing.
And to your point, the energy level seemed to be higher. Embiid didn't have a single point in the first quarter, and Philadelphia still had to feel good about themselves.
I've said this for a long time, and I'll continue to say it. When the big guys really come to play, and they start throwing their weight around, and they start huffing and puffing and moving, and that, they create so much havoc in that lane, and the energy that they give off is
infectious.
So. I mean, and it's scary for little guys, really. I mean, because those big guys really can hurt you when they start moving around, like when they start huffing and puffing and everything. I give the big guys a lot of credit traditionally in this league, in the NBA, because at any given moment, if they wanted to, they could just end your career just like that. But, guys like Shaq, guys like Embiid, they're very conscious of their weight. But when they start moving it around and, huffing and puffing, look, guys, we don't have a chance. And that's when we have to depend on our jump shot.
We'll hear from both head coaches in a couple of moments live at the podium. But if you were with us in the pregame show, Brett Brown was speaking about how Embiid had gotten more rest, how being at home had helped him. He felt better.
I don't want to hear about him getting no rest. Look. Don't come to the press conference no more talking about how he got some sleep. Now it's the playoffs, Game 7.
You don't want to hear that next press conference. He had his soup. I don't want to hear that either. Just play basketball.
Hey man, look, you're getting paid to play, right? I understand. Your stomach was upset. You told me everything. You told me your stomach was upset.
Yep.
You told me you couldn't breathe right. You told me you couldn't eat right. You didn't sleep right. Only got 3 hours of sleep. Hell, man, just come play basketball and let me see.
Well, the point I was going to make.
And I don't want to hear your coach talking about it either.
The point I was going to make was now they've got 2 days off to rest before game 7 on Sunday. I mean, that should help, right?
Same amount of rest as the Raptors have, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
I think it's equal for both teams.
Well, here comes the prep. Well, Embiid had some soup. I gave him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then for dinner, he had a steak. Come, hey, he should be ready to go now. Really? Come on, man. Show up, play.
So you're saying if Embiid happens to pop up on the injury report between now and Sunday, you don't want to hear about it?
I mean,
I'm going to be suspicious.
No one wants to hear that somebody's hurt.
Correct.
But in Game 7 in the playoffs, do you really think the Raptors are going to feel sorry for him?
No.
Not at all. Okay. And then you don't want to have a built-in excuse. He was sick. Your teammates know when you really couldn't go. Let the teammates talk about it. The teammates will tell. I can say Isiah was sick, and that's it. But no one, you can't start. I can't come in. No, Isiah's sick now. Not before the game.
Hey, true story, right? When we was playing in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics, we go out on the road. Okay, the fans were so crazy, we didn't trust room service.
Nope.
Because room service, back then in Boston, they would put something in your food. So we brought our own water. We brought our own meals to make sure didn't nobody get sick. So if you worry about Embiid getting sick, okay, 76ers, bring your own food to Toronto, bring your own water, make sure you feed him.
On oxygen?
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Embiid, you need some water right now? Here's your bottle.
I think it might be time to show the highlights.
Some of the highlights. There you go.
Let's do that.
Good segue.
Just trying to help us out here a little bit, in case you missed any of the action tonight on ESPN. Again, we're taking you out to the podium as soon as the coaches and players
Please,
arrive.
hurry up and get there.
Here's Kawhi Leonard in the first quarter. And then Ben Simmons gets
Boy,
another.
I love that pass and that play. You can see he was coming downhill fast. Everybody eyes on him. Got it to his teammate. And there's Tobias Harris. He also played well at the beginning of the game.
Tobias Harris definitely showed up tonight.
He did.
Ben Simmons scored or assisted on 9 of Philadelphia's 13 first-quarter field goals.
Also, no turnovers for him for the entire game. That's big time.
And he played through 2 early fouls, too, which was significant, right? Embiid getting involved. Hey, how about J.J. Redick, who had just an atrocious Game 5. Here taking it to the cup. Philadelphia was up 42-23. Philadelphia went on a run. It was a 27-8 run, but here comes Toronto on a 12-0 one. We're waiting. When is the bleeding going to stop here?
It was starting to come, and you can see this steal right here. Momentum is there. look at right now, down 7, but also give credit to Jimmy Butler and the Sixers. Right after this run by the Raptors, Jimmy took over.
And I thought this was big. I thought this was big in the game. This moment here, these were game-winning moments, even though it happened in the first half. When Butler took over and he stepped up and got this three-point play here, I thought that broke the momentum of Toronto. And consequently, Philly was able to go in with a nice margin at the half, and also confident at the half.
Butler scored the final 7 points of the half for Philadelphia. They went into the locker room up 58-43. Again, it had just been a 7-point game right before this Jimmy Butler run. Third quarter, Kawhi Leonard trying to will his team back into it. The claw getting into the paint and throwing it down.
He is tough and strong, and boy, he's throwing them shoulders into everybody. And there's Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons was good. I don't like they played him in the dunker spot a lot in the half-court situation.
Embiid getting the bucket and an opportunity for one more. He'd make the free throw. Yeah, TJ McConnell saying, take that, Drake.
That's the big-time play for Joel Embiid.
Right, the block on one end, then Ben Simmons on the other. Man, take a look at this rejection.
I mean, these two guys here, and this is what gets you so excited about Philadelphia. When Embiid is on top of his game, Simmons is on top of his game, you know, as a 1-2 punch, they're almost unstoppable.
Big 18-4 run in the third quarter to essentially serve as the knockout punch. The score not indicative of the control Philadelphia had in this game throughout. You know, so much contributions tonight from Butler and Simmons, who was so much better. Embiid was better. A lot of the role players better. On the road, the role players not that good. Kawhi and Siakam combined for 50 points in this game for the Raptors. The rest of the team combined just 51 points. So Kawhi and Siakam, 50. Everyone else, 51. Now, those guys that were critiquing tonight played really well in Game 5. Is it just we go home and they're fine?
No, I mean, the guys that didn't play, they got a little bit of something on their mind right now. And obviously, you got to give credit to Kawhi Leonard. He is creating wide open shots for you. It's not like they're just playing one-on-one. He's creating so many double teams, so some of these guys are getting easier looks, Isaiah, versus a team where you don't have a guy you're doubling. And it's tough to go up against a good defensive team, but Kawhi is drawing 2 wherever he is, so somebody's going to have to knock down shots. I'm still disappointed in the way Fred VanVleet has played throughout this series. Wondering if Nick Nurse maybe go to a Jeremy Lin, who's not afraid to get his shots up. Now, they might not be going in, but he's not afraid to get his shots up.
And Jeremy Lin is also a playmaker. But Smitty, I look at a Game 7, and to me what a Game 7 for the home team is all about, it's not about you showing up and scoring 40 points. It's about you showing up and stopping the other guy from scoring his 40 points. So Toronto is going to have to rest on their defense. That's where they're going to have to, butter their bread, so to speak. They're going to have to, get stops, get out in transition. But if this becomes a half-court game, they got Embiid and you got Kawhi, it can go either way. But in Toronto, you got to get some stops. You got to rest on your defense.
VanVleet scored 7 points in Game 1 of this series. Since then, he scored a total of 10 points. He's a guy that this team counted on so much last year. You heard Doris Burke talk about it on the broadcast tonight, that Nick Nurse had contemplating taking him out of the rotation. He does so many things for you, right? He gets Kyle Lowry off the ball. He helps you out defensively. But he's also a guy who last year was counted on to hit a lot of big shots.
And I think also it's not a great matchup because you look at, they have Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris. That's 6'10", 6'7", 6'8", and then when you play him and Kyle Lowry together and you're not knocking down shots, you're giving up so much height between those two little guards. It's going to be interesting to see what Nick Nurse does as far as that rotation, matching up with these bigger guards that the Sixers have.
All right, let's go out to Philadelphia. Brett Brown live at the podium after his team has forced the Game 7.
Brett, can you just talk about Jimmy Butler's performance? It seemed like he got things started for you guys, 19 points in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the way he started, even the way he ended the first half, he just stamped his authority in his skill package and his will, pick whatever words you want. He was all over that game. And, the mood in the locker room, as we went through sort of an early shoot-around, our version of shoot-around before, you could sense the serious side. They got the moment, and I think he got it as much as anybody, and led us. He was a tremendous leader, and his performance mirrored his attitude.
Ben Mellis, the pick and roll. Brett, can you just speak about the performance of Ben tonight, and especially that first quarter? It seemed like he came out with that disposition you're always talking about, and was really pushing it at both ends.
He was our bell ringer tonight. You know, I thought Mike Scott off the bench was outstanding. I mean, it's stupid when you look at Joel's plus minus to be a plus 40 is hard to do. And then you see, you know, Jimmy Butler's performance that Keith just spoke about. And so for Ben to be our bell ringer with some of those other performances sort of confirms what I think he did tonight. His no turnovers, his attack mode, his 4 offensive rebounds, his push and pace on missed shots especially. All those things were what made him be an NBA All-Star at 22 years old. And I thought he was excellent tonight, and we needed it all.
Brett, Paul Hudger from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Offensively, didn't seem like he got in the post maybe as much. Was that strategic, or you think that was just something with him and what he saw?
I think a little bit of both. Excuse me, I think a little bit of both. When you're trying to, if you think you're going to go just beat up on and pound it into, you know, somebody that's being defended by a defensive player of the year as Marc Gasol is, that's a hard way to score always. And so, you know, whether you ducked him in, whether you pick and rolled him into sort of that honey spot, that foul line area, or you went a direct post, you know, you can pick different ways that he would get his touches. But to suggest like he didn't get the ball with his back to the basket on Marc Gasol a lot, this is true. And some of it was him, you know, reading the game. Some of it was me not wanting to put him always in that situation. And I thought he was just brilliant, kind of all over the place, although it doesn't sort of look it on an offensive stat sheet.
Hey, Brett. Jason Blevins, Philly front office. So going back to Joel's defense and impact on his team, but really, does he have an impact on opposing teams as well as a sort of deterrence, a presence back there? Does he change the way people attack or their confidence level? It just seemed like tonight he was a plus 40 in really his first maybe 30 minutes. There seems to be an ebb and flow when he's in the game and when he's not in the game.
Where do I begin? So your question kind of surprises me because it's clear the impact he has on the game. Like we get what he does at the rim. It's significant. You know, when he goes out, lots of times, look what happens. And so, of course, like, you know, he's got an incredible defensive impact on a game. If you're looking at sort of people behind you, if you're pick 'em, Kawhi, Kyle, whatever, if you see him, you're probably going to think a little bit more about what you want to do. What's your plan? And his importance to our team is obvious. Tonight you saw a healthier Joel Embiid. And for that sort of example, for that sort of situation of him and his health, he comes out and has a plus 40. It's a huge number. It's a huge plus minus number in a playoff game. His significance is felt all over the place.
Sarah Todd, Philadelphia Inquirer, on your left, Brett.
My left. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. I'm wondering what went into the decision to go with Boban tonight off the bench rather than what you'd been doing before.
I mean, it really hasn't been consistent. We're searching to find an answer for the eighth man. And so, like, we've tried Amir, you know, we've played Furkan earlier, you've played Greg Monroe, who I thought, you know, did okay. And so you're kind of searching a little bit. There wasn't anybody that, like, put their hand up and, like, grabbed that spot. And it didn't help us, obviously. That was a hard 4 minutes for Boban. And I felt like we pivoted out of it quickly, and it could have been a tough environment. But ultimately, you know, we are in pursuit of who is the eighth man. and I'm pausing purposefully, and it's not clear. And so we decided to try Boban, and, you know, the plus minus says what it says, and the game changed quite a bit. And I have to think this through. Like, do you go with 7 players, maybe, you know, or do you just go back to, like, who is the 8th man? And for that reason, we tried to go with Boban and see. And I'll do the same thing as far as thinking who that is for Game 7s, for the next Game 7.
Brett, back to Ben for a second. You had obviously defended him over the last couple of days after what happened in Game 5. Do you view tonight as he needed to play better, he played better, he hadn't played well, so now he decided to play better, or is it more kind of a continuum? You know, he's a young developing player, he's going to come around eventually and play a good game, and it's just simply a matter of time. Like
that's my answer, Mike. It's not even close. He's 22 years old, you know, and his game, as he grows his shot and tries to get a better command of his position and deals with, you know, the stage of the NBA playoffs, shame on us for thinking like he's going to be all day, every day. Here he is, and he's just going to go knock it out of the park. Like, it's just not fair. So what he did today was lots of the reasons he was an NBA All-Star at age 22 as an NBA point guard with the ball. And I thought that on missed shots and him pushing it, he was really good. I thought him getting us organized out of our offense after they made a shot was really good. I really loved his no turnovers, and I really loved his offensive rebounds. I thought those two things, amongst all those comments I just made, are what stood out the most. And to your original point, it's the evolution of a 22-year-old 6'10" point guard that used to be a college four-man. I see it very clearly.
Last one. Brett, is this what you think they brought Jimmy here for? Doing what he's done in this series, doing what he did in a closeout game tonight? And is this what a max contract guy does?
I mean, I'm not going to comment on the contract. What I can comment on clearly and easily is, and I've said this before, there is an adult in the room when he's on the court. You know, the athletic plays that he makes, the physical plays that he makes, he's a tank, and he's just so strong. And when he has that sort of laser focus and you got that body to back it up, incredible things happen offensively and defensively. And then you like drip feed in, like he has that mind, he's got that sort of attitude. That's a hell of a package. And so, you know, translate that to whatever that means from a contract standpoint, from a head coach's standpoint. I go to all those things, leadership, skill, and so on. And there was just an adult in the room, you know, in a Game 6 closeout game that has allowed us to go play and have an amazing experience. You know, like playing, I've been fortunate to be in a few Game 7s, and they're very unique. They're special. They are a life lesson, a life opportunity, and he sure allowed us to better achieve that.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
All right, that's Brett Brown. We will hear from Nick Nurse coming up in moments live at the podium. We're back with our post-game coverage as the Raptors and Sixers will play Game 7 Sunday night at 7 Eastern on TNT. Back live in our Atlanta studio. We'll get you back out to the podium in Philadelphia to hear from Nick Nurse and players on both the Raptors and Sixers after Philadelphia wins it in Game 6, 112-101 to force a decisive Game 7 on Sunday. The star of this game was Ben Simmons and how he bounced back. He had scored 27 combined points over the previous 3 games. Tonight he goes for 21.
You know, what I love, Jared and Isiah, the way he came out and put his imprint on the game. And then also I think for me is he is playing with a lot of force. But first we're going to go to Nick Nurse, and then you'll come back to me, Jared. You see how I transition right quick?
Why do I need to be here? Players only.
Doug Smith with Toronto Star. We're sort of surprised by your team's lack of forcefulness early in that game. You say you like to know early what they're going to be like.
Yeah.
You're surprised they were a little bit tentative?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think obviously with the start, I think it was 13-5, right? Not great. And but then I thought we settled in really quickly. I think we went on think we took the lead there 15-13 after that run or something like that. But then it was a kind of a strange game of runs, where they came out and blasted us, and we crawled back in, and then they went right back again on maybe another 8-0 run or something like that. And then a couple times late in the first half, I think we had it 49-41, and we missed back-to-back wide open threes that would have cut it, to 5, and then we end up going down at the half something like 12. Again, so there was just too many like fast momentum swings, I think. But yeah, we didn't play with enough force. We didn't play hard enough. We didn't stand in there. We didn't play with enough physicality.
Nick, Steve Simmons, Toronto
Hi, Steve.
Sun. How do you explain the disparity game to game in this series? So many, I guess you call them blowouts, through 6 games.
Yeah. So there's been 2-2-2, right? 2 close games, 2 each way, right? I don't know. I guess a lot of that has to do with just momentum, and for us, I still think we just missed so many shots early, and they were just playing off the rebound so often, right? They were getting them off the rebound and pushing it out on us. We were not doing a great job in transition, and then when we did, we end up cross-matched a little bit, and they made us pay for those. And then when we did make them miss, they were getting their share of putbacks as well. So we kind of 3 things going there that was somewhat attributed to our poor shooting. But that, again, I'm not sure why both teams really are letting that affect them so much in the 4 games that have not been close.
David Grenovan, ESPN. Nick, you guys were able to limit Joel to some extent in games 4 and 5 and in the first half of this one. When you're coaching against the Sixers in the third quarter in particular and seeing him come alive, what's going through your mind as the opposing coach?
Well, I think you're right. We've done a pretty good job on him, but I think his presence was a lot more than his baskets tonight, right? And for whatever reason, I'm not sure. But it seems like we again weren't into the paint as much as we would have liked to, and I imagine he had something to do with that, right? But again, I'm pretty happy with the shots we made him take. Or I think I can only recall maybe 1 total that we didn't even rotate out to him. I think he missed that one, right? The other ones were kind of slow close threes, and he you're gonna because you're protecting the paint, versus Simmons and Butler and Harris and those guys driving, that you're going to give up some of those kickbacks, and you do the best you can to contest them, and he happened to make a couple of them tonight. I don't know, that's all I got for you.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Nick, what is your message going into a Game 7, given,
yeah,
there's always a lot at stake, but it seems even more this time around. What do you tell your guys?
Well, I think it's not unlike where we've been a couple times in this series already, right? They're critical games. They're all critical, and we've got to play with great physicality, great speed, connected on the defensive end. I think we gotta play our one of our best defensive games of the year. Make sure, and play with some gusto on offense.
Ben Mellis, the pick and roll to your right. Just with Ben Simmons, you've done a good job this series of keeping him, I suppose, out of his running game and forcing him into turnovers and tough passes. And tonight he was able to get going and impact the game. Mm-hmm. Was that something he was doing, or was that something you look at and say your defense wasn't up to scratch tonight?
Yeah, I think it was probably a combination of some of the stuff I talked about. I think our poor shooting got him out in the open floor a lot. I think he was certainly aggressive. Give him credit. I thought he made a lot more straight line, non-hesitant moves tonight. He just when he decided to go, he decided to go, and he wasn't thinking about passing really tonight, and he was just taking it to the rim, and we weren't providing enough help down there. And he hurt us on the glass a couple times early. Like, we had a couple good defensive possession, and there his big arm and hand came up there and tipped him in, and those are those are tough, right? When you've had a good defensive possession and they stick in a high percentage tip in. He was really good tonight, but he's a really good player. I think that you don't expect these guys to stay silent for every game in a long series. You know, they're good.
Apologize if you've answered this before, but during the game, you guys made several runs at them, and then they canceled back with a run. Notably, that third quarter especially. How tough was it for your team to get at them and then they counter punch like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always the hard part, right? When you do claw your way back to somewhere where you can see it, you know, and then you just have a couple of either strange plays or they answer with a 3-ball or something like that. And again, it kind of takes your spirit a little bit, and all the energy you use to fight to get it close, and then it goes back up to the gap, you know. So it was such a game of runs tonight, I don't know. You just got to try to keep playing through those things, right? When it's not going in, your defense has to be that much better. Got to make sure you get shots, but again, we gotta make sure our defense is better and a bit more connected and a little bit more team orientated on the defensive rebounding.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I'm gonna bring Kyle right in.
All right, so Nick Nurse and the Raptors going home for a Game 7, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT, after the 112-101 loss in Philadelphia.
Do you know what the NN on the hat is for?
Nick Nurse.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Really? Does he have an apparel deal?
They made him hats.
Nick Nurse, call me. I need my SS.
Well, IT already took my hat.
We going back out, guys? Okay, we're going to go. Remember, you want players only, baby. You wanted to go to
Minutes only. Minutes only. We're going to change the name. All right, you ready?
Sure.
Ben Simmons, let's talk about Ben, how he set the tone. No!
Oh, you're getting.
Wait a second. They did it
the second time. Let's go to
All
number
right, Kyle.
7. Let's go to number
Kyle
7.
Larry got an apparel deal, too. He got K7.
Kyle, over here to your just talk about the game overall. It seems like you guys had tried on more than a few occasions to try and get back in this, and they just found a way to kind of keep at bay tonight.
They were really good tonight in transition. On the boards, they were really good. Second chance points in the paints. They did a lot of things good tonight. We tried to keep getting back into it, and we didn't shoot the ball well tonight. And we had a lot of open looks early. We missed them, but they played well tonight. But we got to continue to look at the film and prepare to see what we could do better and see where we messed up tonight.
Kyle, John Schumann, NBA.com. When Embiid, do you feel the difference, especially when you're on offense, when Embiid's on the floor versus when he's not on the floor? How much do you feel him when he's out there defensively?
He's an all-NBA player, all defensive type team type player, big body. He's smart. We know where he's at. You're conscious of where he is on the floor. Pascal has some really good looks tonight, missed some open threes with him going to help. But when he's out there, he's a big body, he's a force on both ends. The question is, yes, we notice when he's out there and when he's not.
Kyle, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. It seems the last couple of games you've worked really hard to, if not get to the rim, at least get into the paint. Did you feel like you were as successful doing that tonight?
I got to the paint a little bit early. They did a good job of lating and getting back and kind of switching it late. And we made some plays and got to some spots. And we missed shots. I mean, we got some really good looks. And I tried to be aggressive early, but they were helping. And I got Mark got some shots and Serge got some shots. Pascal. But yeah, I think I could have pushed a little bit more to try to get in the paint a little bit more. But that's the adjustment they made. They kind of helped a little bit more to not let me get downhill as much.
Just as a follow-up, have you even allowed yourself to start thinking about Game 7?
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for us. We got to play harder. We got to do everything we need to do to win the game. It's Game 7. It's do or die. Win or go home, really. Thank you.
All right, there's Kyle Lowry. Should we pump fake you again, or do you want to talk how Ben Simmons was aggressive tonight?
You tell me if I can go.
It's the powers upstairs. I really have nothing to do with it.
Damon Fisher is up to Damon Fisher. You ready?
Here we go.
All right.
We'll get you back out to the podium in a moment.
First of all, we get once again.
Ben Simmons at the podium.
I'm going.
Third strike. You're out. Here's Ben Simmons
Paul Hudrick,
after his
NBC Sports
incredibly
Philadelphia.
aggressive performance in
You had a
Philadelphia's
conversation
Game 6 win.
during warm-ups with Julius Erving.
I can't tell you what.
Can't tell you what I said. Did you think it helped you at all tonight?
It could have.
Ben, you were able to push the pace a lot more tonight and get into the teeth of their defense. How much of that do you think was just you guys getting stops and having that chance in transition rather than in a half-court game?
I think it was just making a point of actually doing it and not talking about it. Obviously, I'm pretty quick, so I'm able to push the ball. I think it was just being aggressive downhill and just playing my game.
Ben, Brett talked a little bit about the serious air in the locker room before the game. I mean, what was it like for you coming to the arena today? I mean, knowing that your back is against the wall, one loss from the offseason, but also knowing that you guys have played with this team. Where was your mind at?
I think it's more so for me just going out there and doing everything I can to win, and the end result's going to be the end result. So everyone had that same mentality. I think it was just going out there playing hard and not regretting anything.
Todd, Philadelphia Inquirer, can you kind of try to characterize what you see from Joel when, he's got, I don't know what his actual stats were, but 33 minutes he had 15 and 12, but he was a plus 42 through that time. And so what are you seeing out there? Like, how is he impacting the game?
Just with his size defensively, he's able to alter shots, block shots, and that also leads to fast breaks. So for us, having him is huge. And then down low, he's such a force. He draws a lot of attention. So for us, we can make plays from that. But he's been doing well, for the circumstances he's been under.
Dave McMenamin, ESPN. Ben, in the back here, following up on Sarah's question about Joel, in particular in the third quarter when he's blocking those shots from Kawhi Leonard, and you guys seem to be feeding off his energy. Was that turning the page at all from, as a teammate, from what he's been through the last 2.5 games to looking at, okay, maybe we're getting back on track here?
Definitely. We know how we are supposed to play, and it's just a matter of doing it. I think everybody was really locked in doing their job, and that's the one thing I say before we go out and start the game. Everybody needs to do their job, no matter if it's small or big, or whatever you look at. In terms of that, everyone has a role and everyone has to do it.
Right here in the middle, Ben. I noticed you took the sleeve off tonight, and instead of those 3/4 leggings that you usually wear, you're wearing something shorter.
Yeah.
Any reason for that?
I was like, it was more of a physical thing for me. Just go out there and just play. Don't worry about sleeves, whatever you have on. Just go out there and hoop and get back to being me.
Did you feel something different tangibly to make a difference for you?
No, I was just going out there and leaving it on the floor.
You mentioned being able to play downhill tonight. A lot of people want to see you do that more often. What was working tonight that allowed you to do that?
Just spacing. Guys being in their spots where they need to be also allows me to do that. And just me having that mindset of getting downhill and making plays.
Ben, there have been some pretty big swings in this series from game to game for you personally, for the team in general. Why do you think that is?
It's the NBA. Guys make runs. Teams make runs. Toronto did that tonight. We did it majority of the game, and it just happens. It's the NBA.
Then over here on your right. Can you characterize Jimmy Butler's play, especially in the first half tonight, and what it meant to you guys in that moment?
It's just the energy he brings, offensively and defensively. When you have a guy like that, it kind of sets the tone, and everyone's able to feed off that. So he really gets us going in the game. So especially James Ennis, guys like that, Mike Scott, guys who come out and just play physical and have that passion for the game, allows everybody to kind of have that same mentality and mindset.
Ben, back row, well, to your left. Just talk about the moment you guys, the season that moment as a team from the get-go. When they made runs, actually, you never, you counterpunched to get that moment, to take it back to Toronto. How important in terms of the way you guys played tonight, and how proud of this team is to be able to fight the way you guys did tonight.
It's huge. Before I came on the floor, I kind of just looked at the starting five, our starting five. I was like, we got a lot of talent, and with that comes responsibility. Everybody has to do their job. It goes back to starting on defense and playing together and sharing the ball and moving it. It's special.
Ben, Brett talked before the game about wanting you guys to play free and easy and not get caught up in the fact that your season could end, if you had lost tonight. How do you separate those two things out? How do you not allow yourself to get caught up in the thought of, hey, if we mess up, it's all over. How do you get to yourself to the point where you can play the way you need to play?
I think when you have guys who are just competitive in general, then that goes out the window. You go out there and play hard and try and do everything exactly how it should be done. Try and make the correct plays, share the ball, move it, play defense, and really lock in. So I think when you have guys who are able to do that and separate that, you got a good team.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, plenty more to come from the podium following Philadelphia's Game 6 win. Joel Embiid will be at the podium with Jimmy Butler, plus we'll go inside the locker room and hear from Kawhi Leonard. All that and more as Game Time Live rolls on. Take you live to the podium. Here's Joel Embiid after Philadelphia's Game 6 win to force a Game 7 on Sunday. All right, it's a bit of a
good job,
technical
Jared.
difficulty there. I apologize.
Cut off
for
Joel
that one.
Embiid for me, right?
Well, we want to get to your.
Nah.
Here we
There
go
you go
back. We
again.
have the audio now. Here's Joel Embiid.
I'm forced to take a lot of jump shots, so I can make the easier decision and get my teammates open by setting great screens, walling to the basket, finding guys, and trying to free them up, and then defensively just covering for everybody. Whenever I can block a shot, do it. Just be all over the place. Yeah.
Joel, Dave McGrennan, ESPN, back here. You told us in Toronto that you wanted to kind of get back that joy, get back that effervescence that you bring to the court. When you had those two blocks in the third quarter on Kawhi and then hit the shot and kind of backpedaled with a smile on your face, did you?
Me, man. You ain't shit. That started it. I was just sitting here, and then they asked me a question.
Yeah. Did you feel that stretch like that was you kind of welcoming yourself back to the playoffs, getting over what you'd been through?
Man, it started from the beginning, coming in, knowing that this was do or die situation. So I knew that I had to come in with high spirits. And he played the usual like he always does. But that's what I got to keep on doing. Do the little things and everything's gonna follow.
Over to you guys over here. Rich Hoffman, The Athletic. This is for either of you guys. After poor performances, it seems like you guys tend to bounce back. There were a few of those in the regular season. Why do you guys think that is?
Man, if you play bad, you want to come back the next game and play better. We, up there in Toronto, we felt like, we didn't play the way we wanted to, and we made a lot of mistakes, and tonight they had to be corrected, especially with turnovers and, transition defense. Everybody was aggressive. Ben was great tonight. Jimmy was great. Tobias was great. And then defensively, collectively, we did a great job.
Joel, Sean Kennedy, Liberty Ballers. There was the one instance in the second half you were reinserted in the game after only a minute on the bench. Have you been given any guidance about how much you're, willing to be pushed out there, like how far you can go, especially with Game 7 coming up?
Man, they shouldn't tell me, and they haven't told me. It's the playoffs. I gotta play. If I gotta play 45 minutes and push myself out there, that's what I gotta do. If that's what it takes to win, and if my presence on the court, is needed, I gotta be there. It doesn't matter if it takes the whole game. So, and I'm fine with it. Gonna keep on pushing myself, and Game 7, we gonna need it. I'm gonna need to be on the court, and I intend to be ready for everything if I had to play a whole game.
Jimmy, back row to your left here. Number of times they made runs at you, and you guys just able to counter punch back. Just talk about the resiliency you guys showed tonight, especially that fourth quarter when they get to within 8, then you guys just kind of went into a gear and took control and just took over from that point.
I think the game is a game of runs as a whole. It's all about withstanding those runs. And more than anything, I just think tonight we let our defense start us out and dictate our offense, which is what I always say. Whenever we play like that, we're hard to beat. Home, on the road, neutral site. That's how we have to play basketball.
Joel, how do you feel right now? And how did you feel going into this game compared to the other games earlier in the series?
I'm great. The other games earlier in the series, I was great. I'm great today.
Joel, on your way off the floor in Toronto, you let me know you'd be coming back. I'm to your left. To your left. Let me know that you'll be coming back for Game 7. Now that this moment's here, what are your emotions going into a do-or-die situation in Game 7?
Just gotta play basketball. Basketball is fun. I understand that I understand that it's Game 7. But gotta come in and fight just like we did tonight. Our back was on the line tonight. I feel like our back is still on the line. He's on the line, so we just gotta do the same thing. Come back and, like you said, it's all about defense. If we play defense like we played tonight, or in Game 2 and 3, we feel like we can beat anybody. So we got to come in and be ready.
Joel and Jimmy on your right here. Joel, what did Jimmy mean to you guys in the first half? And Jimmy, did you feel like you had to come out and sort of take things over in the first half? It seemed like you played that way.
I just came out aggressive, as they tell me to be all the time. Game simple. I shoot the ball when I'm open. Sometimes I shoot it when I'm not open. And, I try to get out in transition, get some steals, get some rebounds, and take off. That's just how the game went for us tonight. Home crowd was great. No boos. They booed us a little bit, right?
They did boo.
Okay, they booed us a little bit.
They did.
We appreciate it. But all in all, they was really into the game.
It was great. Carried us offensively and defensively, obviously. Feel like the last stay that he had before the half was huge, especially for the momentum. Just we need him to be the same, especially up in Toronto.
Jimmy, over here to your left. Has this been a part of your plan since you've been here to be more aggressive around this time of year? Because at the start of since you got here, it seems like you were finding your way. You were being maybe a little bit more on the passive side, but now you seem more aggressive and assertive. Has that been a part of the plan, or is that just a figment of our imagination?
I'm gonna go with the imagination part. I'm just hooping. I'm doing what they asked me to do. And I play to win. I think right now this is what I have to do in order to give us a great chance of winning. I think from game to game, hell, from series to series, the role could change. I'm cool with it. Like I always say, I just want to win. If we win, I'm good. If we don't, I got a problem.
Dan Gelson, the Associated Press. Joel, how concerned are you about the flagrant situation? Is there anything you need to do in your game differently to?
It's annoying, stupid. I feel like the one in Brooklyn should have been we send it tonight. It's just basketball. I didn't mean to do it. Just happened to hit him in the face, I guess, and didn't mean to do it. And it just happened. A lot of things like that happened. I got hit in the face in the first half by Pascal, but kind of like the same situation. That wasn't a flagrant. So, and I saw the video of it. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. Stuff, now I guess I got one more and going for one game, so I gotta look out for it. But there's definitely some this one and the one in Brooklyn that I feel like I didn't deserve.
Joel, I'm curious. I know you enjoy playing to the crowd, but there was a lot less of that from you tonight. One, if that was by design, just to stay focused in the moment, and two, how do you bottle the way you played tonight to take to Game 7?
I mean, I'm mature. I'm starting to figure it out the whole league. I'm starting to figure it out kind of like everybody around here, you guys, the fans. It's just, the situation we're in is it's fun. I love being in this situation, and you got to play both sides. I got to be myself, and I'm always going to be myself. But at the same time, I gotta do my job on the court, and that's all that matters. I got to show up for my teammates every game, defensively, offensively. I don't know if I didn't play to the crowd tonight on purpose or if, I don't know. Yeah, I was just playing basketball. Some days it's going to happen, some days it's not going to happen.
Jimmy, Kai Carlin, Sixers Wire. You're always telling Ben to attack. Tonight, how do you feel like he kind of stepped up to the challenge tonight and attacked the rim as much as he could?
He did that. He attacked the transition in the half, made some free throws. That's how we need him to be, along with Joe and everybody else. You can't key in on one or two guys on this team because we have so many guys that can put the ball in the basket. We have so many guys that could get a stop and take off dribbling with the basketball. Like I said before, that's how we're going to win, as we showed tonight. When he's aggressive, when Ben's aggressive, Tobias is aggressive, it gives us a greater chance of winning.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, that's Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid at the podium. The Game 6, they force a decisive Game 7. Sunday, you'll see it on TNT at 7 o'clock Eastern. Isiah Thomas, Steve Smith, Jared Greenberg with you. Okay, so what did we see in Game 6, Isiah, that you believe will translate to Game 7?
Well, if Embiid plays with the type of force and energy, his game does carry because he can defend the middle, he can rebound the basketball, and he can get your back line in foul trouble by getting to the foul line. So I believe that his presence in the Game 7 out on the road will be big if he shows up to play the way he did tonight.
I'm with you, Isiah. Kawhi Leonard has been the best player in this series, but Joel Embiid could be the best player in this series. And I think if he come out with force and start off the games, it doesn't have to be offensively. He didn't do that tonight. Just saying, I'm going to make plays with some force to help us win. And I like Ben Simmons. I like Tobias Harris being the most aggressive at the beginning, but they have to have Joel Embiid. He can't have those lulls on being aggressive. He has to stay at a steady pace of being aggressive, Joel Embiid, being the biggest player out there, and also being the most dominant, whether that's rebounding, blocking shots, or clogging up the middle. He did that tonight.
Kawhi Leonard, a solid stat line, 29 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. It's not flirting with 40 like he had been earlier in this series. Do the Raptors need him to get up to that 40-point mark to have a chance to win? Or how else can they get this done if the supporting cast is up and down the way they've been this series?
Well, he's going to have to read that, Isiah. If they're double teaming, I mean, there's some times where he's going to have to attack the double, but also make the right play. And also the time and score would dictate. they're down, and he's going to have to attack some of those double teams. But if not, he has to still trust his teammates. And I think he's done a great job of balance, being able to get his attempts, being able to still be aggressive, but finding guys for open shots.
I think defensively, they're going to have to do a better job on Butler. They're going to do a better job on Harris and also on Simmons. I look at the Raptors and I say, I don't think any of those guys can really step up their game any more offensively. And at home, we shouldn't ask them to do that. But what we know they can do is step up their game defensively, and that's what I expect them to do.
A lot of pressure on both these coaches, right? What's at stake for these organizations? We're going to be talking a lot about Kawhi Leonard and his future if the Raptors can advance. You've got the Sixers with their expectations of going to the conference finals. They've got two major free agents in Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler.
It is. That hot seat is on both sides of the table, and I think that's what you want as a coaching staff. You love to win this before Game 7s, but you should live for Game 7s. This is where you find out who you are, what you've been putting in. And this is where Nick Nurse was hired to do. This is what Brett Brown was hired to do, to get them over the hump. It's just right now both these organizations collide, and somebody's not going to the next round, and we shall see.
And you got two good teams, you got two good organizations in a Game 7. So, you know, that's exciting within itself. So both of these teams, although they're facing each other, you can't say at this point that they haven't lived up to expectations. Now, if one would have lost 4-1 or, got swept or something, but, these are two good teams, two good organizations in a Game 7, and only one can advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't know how disappointed either team or any organization will be after this kind of loss to the opponent in a Game 7.
Home team all time in the NBA playoffs has won 79%.
Well, let me take that back. Like if you lose by 40.
Right. That'd be so good.
Then I didn't want to cut you off, obviously, but what if you get blown out?
Yeah, then it's a problem.
Game 7 Sunday night. We've got plenty more work to do this evening. There's another Game 6. Isiah Smitty and